Today I have the honor of interviewing Angel Peaches, an accomplished performing artist and recording artist. Angel Peaches has been performing on stages since she was a young child as part of her family's group, Sonora Dinamita. We're going to bring her in now, talk to her about her career as an artist, her performances, and also her career as an actress, because she's been involved in several movies, short films, commercials, and more. Let's bring her in.
Hola,
Hola,
hola.
hola.
Hola, hola,
You look
Christopher.
amazing.
Oh, thank you. You do too.
Oh, thank you so much.
I
I'm
love your
working with what I
background.
got. What a pleasure to have you back on the Cristopolis show.
Thank you.
It's been like from when you were here, it was like over 100 episodes ago.
Wow.
And yeah, I know. And I feel like it's grown so much and it's been such a pleasure to watch your career grow.
Oh, thank
You had an
you.
amazing 2024 with a release of, many singles, the most recent of which was Karma Police,
Yes,
right? Let's talk about
absolutely.
the Cumbia Jam,
Yep.
Karma Police.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. And I mean, it same to you. It's beautiful to see hardworking people and going for what they truly want, which makes me like my heart very happy and inspires me as well. And I did release the Cumbia Karma Police cover, which I had recorded a while ago back with some friends. Shout out David. And like we recorded the song and we had like a project that was like Cumbia Darks, and it's still going. It never ended. But we have like different stuff that we want to do. So yeah, I wanted to just release that song because I know that every time that I performed it, a lot of my friends and people really enjoyed it. And it's kind of like that Chicano but Mexican as well rooted, that kids that love rock en español mixed with like cumbia, or just like rock en español y cumbia. So it's like that love that I really just wanted it to be out, just instead of just keeping it just out so everyone could dance and cry at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like it's called Cumbia Police, but it's Karma Police.
Cumbia, I thought about that too. Yeah, cumbia police. Cause but yeah, mixing like kind of like the dark and the synthy and yeah. So I wanted it to be
So
out.
this culture is so rich, and I think for people who don't really know the terms, it'll help just like to briefly explain to them cumbia, dark cumbia, goth cumbia, and like all of this
Yeah.
this this whole thing that's like within the culture of cumbia. People know what the sounds are, but maybe somebody else, who's not in the cumbia, maybe they don't know. So what is Karma Police? What type of a cumbia is that?
I think it's kind of like well, I always say darks because there's like gothic music, emo music, punk, all just like a post punk. You can't even like there's just some kids out there, people that just listen to like these nostalgic beautiful sounds, and they can't really be like, oh, it's new, it's this, and they just like put it's darks because it has like that type of like dark moodiness about it. And there's also like this thing where you like cumbias at the same time. You like to dance. But if you think about it, cumbias are very dark in themselves. Like if you
Yeah,
listen to the cumbias, the lyrics, they usually have sad lyrics.
yeah.
Even like these Pastor Lopez cumbias that we play on Christmas, our parents play on Christmas, they all say really sad things. Like El Hijo Ausente, which is one of like the biggest songs, and it's talking about the kid or the son that isn't there for Christmas because he like migrated or is just out there partying. And a lot of cumbias have
Estás
like
perdido. Estás
that's that
perdido.
and it's about like showing like your sadness through this like tropical music. And instead of like lyrics that are like super happy because we're dancing and we're cumbia, they're usually very dark. And so it's kind of like this new generation that grew up with like, I don't know. Well, I grew up watching like all the emos, and when the Mexican emos versus punks war happened, I was in like elementary, but I looked up to all like the emo kids, and so that it's just kind of like that being in between loving cumbias because of your parents and what you grew up with, and loving this new dark music. So
It's really interesting. because cumbia like has like the darks, the emo, but then it's also kind of like there's like cumbia reggaeton, there's like cumbia hip
Yeah.
hop,
Yep.
but cumbia kind of gives itself to mixing with other forms of music.
Oh yeah, I love cumbia because of that. Because in every region of Latin America, every country has its own different type of
Yeah,
cumbia. You know, Colombia was the one who started it, and they have like the old school, beautiful, very you know, drum cumbia, and then it like migrated to Mexico because yeah, because Rigo Tobar was the one who brought Mexico, cumbia to Mexico, like back in the 70s, 60s.
really?
Yeah, Rigo
What's his
Tobar.
name? What's his name?
Rigo Tobar. And
Okay,
he was
and
the
was he Colombian or
coolest.
Mexican?
He was Mexican. And he was the coolest. He even got to go to like Abbey Road and record cumbia in,
Wow.
where the Beatles recorded it. And so there's like a picture of him doing all that. But yeah, he was like into rock, which is so crazy. It's like, he was like this rockero with his like hair, but he did cumbias. Like that's what he brought to Mexico. And then so like there's from that it started, and then it became like sonidero, and then norteño cumbias, but in like Guatemala and Salvador and Nicaragua, Honduras, they have like the more Pastor Lopez or like Linda Caleña, which is more like Colombia. And then when you get to Peru, they have the beautiful psychedelic cumbia. And then there's like all the way down to like Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, they have the villeras. And so it's like cumbia is humongous. And so
Yeah,
like there's this like little part here in LA, and I don't know if it's just here because I'm sure it's everywhere, but there's this like little wave of like Chicanos that are like first generation that love like darks and cumbia. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah.
I saw this movie, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was about cumbia.
Oh my
And it was
God.
this guy. Did you see this movie?
Yes, I
The
love, it's one of
guy
my
who like
favorites. Ya no
I
estoy aquí.
love that
Me
movie.
too.
Where
Me
he goes to New
too.
York, he gets in trouble, he's got to go to New York, and
Yep.
I
Me too.
love that movie.
Oh,
What's
trust
it
me.
called? What's it called?
Ya no estoy aquí. I'm no longer here.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. I remember when it came out, I watched it. Then I rewatched it by myself, and then I rewatched it with like some other friends. Yeah, a bunch of times. I showed it to my brother, my mom. Jeez, it's one of my favorite movies, and it's like contemporary, Mexicanos like making art and something that is very real. Monterrey, and that's another type of cumbia, which is the rebajadas. And it's crazy because there was like a big movement back like in the 80s of that rebajada, and also like at the same time Sonora Dinamita, my mama, how she was in La Sonora. I was like 3, and she would take me, and I remember there being a lot of cholitos, and my mom actually still keeps up with some cholitos that would like go in like, hell yeah, Sonora Dinamita,
Yeah.
and they would be like, call out our gang sign, and yeah, it'd be cool.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting, the history of it. But really important for this moment is your history in the movement. It's hard to go too deep into any conversation with Angel Peaches without talking about the special background that you have where you grew up um, singing at a very early age, performing at a very early age,
Yeah.
and um, with parents and with a famous mom that's essentially like legendary in Latin America in this genre of music. Can you talk to us about your upbringing and being on the stages and growing up around Sonora Dinamita?
Yes, of course. That's one of my proudest things, honestly. I will never get over the fact that my mom is Doris Montenegro. She's my queen. She's like, I always, just admire her because she's such a star. I love writing, I love composing, and I love singing as well. But my mom is such a natural star, and she has such a beautiful voice that I want everyone to know about. But she did like she came from Guatemala, and by herself, she like she was my grandfather, he died in like the 70s because of wars in Guatemala, right?
Yeah.
And so she it was a very poor situation because my grandma had 8 kids. She had to bring them up by themselves, and so she went to like competitions when she was like 10 years old, and she won big competitions, and like she would
In
win so many.
Guatemala.
Yeah, in Guatemala. Yeah, as like a little kid,
Wow.
and she would only go with my one of my aunts, and then after that she got recognition, joined some merengue bands, and for me she's my Guatemalan Madonna, right? That's my
Yeah.
mom. And so after that she went to Mexico and she met my dad. He was also in a cumbia band, and then she joined La Sonora Dinamita, and so she just was the part of like the biggest Latin American band that there was, and part of when Don Lucho was there, which is like there's Celia Cruz and then there's Don Lucho Argain. He invented all of those songs that we love, like El Cucu, Carmen, La Cadenita, and so he's just huge, and it's such a blessing that I was able to be just close to that, and I
Very
kind of
close
like a
to it.
sponge. I
Born
love it.
into it.
Yes, and it's such like my proudest thing really, because I that's why I love cumbia, because it was so real to me, and I grew up watching her perform, and that's why I think I have that love and spark and respect for all it.
For
Yeah.
the history of it.
Yeah, and like you said, I did grow up performing. When I turned 12, I was like bugging my mom, hey, can I go on the stage with you? And she's like, you're too young, you're too young. But I was like, come on. And so she let me like do backup vocals and stuff, and
Good for
then
you.
now we perform together still. It's something that I don't think I'll ever stop doing, because it's so special. Just singing next to my mom, it's something sacred to me.
And when you perform with your mom now, what's the name of your mom's
My,
current band?
my mom's current band is Doris Montenegro y su Sonora Explosiva.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and she could have named herself Sonora Dinamita, because a lot of people perform with that
Yeah.
name, but she's like, no, it's not the
Sure,
same thing,
sure.
even
It's a
though.
new chapter.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's good because, I think she deserves to, show her name. And yeah, it is my Doris Montenegro who's performing, and
That's right.
I'm there next to her too.
What a beautiful story.
Thank you.
We started off talking about the single that you released called Karma Police. Uh, some people call it Cumbia Police,
Yeah.
right? You had another single called
Yes.
Magia. Can you talk to us about that single?
Yes, of course. For that one, like you said, I mixed kind of reggaeton and cumbia, and that one was a very like I really wanted to put out something for the summer where we could just like go and feel beautiful and go dance. And I did a music video with my beautiful friends Katrina and Marielle. They're beautiful dancers. Katrina I met since high school, and we used to dance and after school in a dance team, and so now I got to perform with them at the Los Angeles, the Pershing Square Center, and it was beautiful just getting
Oh,
to
you guys
perform with
performed
them.
right there in Pershing Square?
Yes, we performed the song and we danced it, and it was just beautiful. It was like a very I felt like I was next to Winx Club Fairies or Bratz dolls, and it was just this very like, oh yes, I'm a girl and I dance, and I'm sexy with my friends, and the song was like, I know you're watching, and if you want to get a little closer, we could play. It was kind of like a flirtatious song, and a very bouncy beat, and I hope to do more songs like that next year around like when it gets warmer. I kind of go with the seasons and the mood.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very kind of like summer
Yes,
vibe.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I like at first the first name that I had for it when I was creating it, before it was Magia, was Strawberry Beach. And then I just didn't end up doing lyrics that had to do anything with like a strawberry beach, but like that was
We
the first mood of it.
had like the rhythm.
Yeah, yeah. I like first listen to the rhythm, and then I make my melody, and then it comes, and then like it yeah, I go through with it, and then it just becomes something else that from what it started, but it's beautiful to create them.
And there was another single called Let Me Go.
Yes.
That one had like a 222 on the cover.
Yes.
What is that? I love that number personally. So that stood out to me, right?
Yes.
What did that mean, the 222?
I love angel numbers. I know there's a lot of people that are gonna be like, "Oh, don't listen to that. That's like, worshiping something bad." No, I think it's like mostly, I don't know, past generations. I'm sure they did have them too, but there's synchronicities. Synchronicities are not new at all. Like, there's this if- Carl Jung. and he like talked about synchronicities and that the world is going to show you signs, and sometimes people take it too far. Sometimes people could get in their head like, oh my god, 333, you know, I'm doing something wrong or whatever, you know. But I feel like I mean,
Right.
like back in like
666. Nobody
yeah,
wants anything with that number. Right?
yeah,
That's like the scary
exactly.
one. If I
Ex-
like literally like if I see that on something, it won't change. It's not so powerful that I'll like, but it definitely like I
and
notice.
me too.
I
Trust
notice
me when I
like it's not good. I
yeah,
notice it. And it takes a lot for me to get over that
yeah,
when I see it
and I think
before doing something.
yep, and it's something that yeah, you kind of have to give it your own meaning, you know. Just like when I saw angel numbers, I believe someone pointed out to me the first time, and then after that, I just couldn't stop looking at them like everywhere. Like I'd be driving, and then I'd like go like that for a second, and something would be 222 or walking, and so it's just like a little thing that we
There are a
see.
lot in LA. You see them a
Yeah.
lot in
Yes.
like
Yes.
building numbers
Yeah.
333 55511. Like it's like
Yeah.
more in LA than in other
Right.
places.
Right. And I think, well, I think the known one, which I found on my own kind of, but also looked up and realized that a lot of people believe 222 means love. You know, it's or
Oh,
222 is like romantic, you know, connection or like, you
okay.
know, that like and you know, I don't like to tell people like my other meanings because it's like everyone has their own meaning and I think it's more beautiful like that. But definitely 666 is like, oh, balance yourself or
That's
you know,
I
like a new
think it's
chapter
self
or
care. I think it's
yeah.
like something like that.
Yeah. And I'm also super happy to share with you that so you know how I'm an actor too, right?
Yeah.
So I actually did a short film. I filmed it last year, and here right now in January, it's going to be premiering at the London Short Film Fest. And that one actually has a lot to do with like angel numbers and synchronicities. And it was directed by my amazing friend Quentin Dominguez, who yeah, I haven't posted anything about it, but it's
I
something.
know. I'm like finding out real
Yep,
time right
yep.
now.
I haven't told anyone except my family. I mean, we're gonna post it very soon, but you know, that one is very special because I remember there's this beautiful thing that they had like nails that had 222, and yeah, you're gonna see it hopefully soon, and yeah, but that one has a lot of that, and it's beautiful because they were the ones who like came up with that, but when they told me about it, I was like, oh my God, I believe in that too. So it's cool, you know,
Yeah.
how everything, you know, yeah.
No, there's so much there. So
Mhm.
new movie coming out. It's going to be released at the film festival in
Yes.
January.
Mhm.
So it
Yeah.
won't be available for people yet. It'll be
Yes.
like film festival, like a clip, probably like a sizzle to promote the film festival.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Very soon, hopefully, like in the beginning of January, which is like next week. So, but
I
yeah,
know
there'll be
it's
like a little.
2025 is right here.
I can't believe it, but you know,
So
we've been.
what can
Yeah.
you share from, to not give away and they've got to do their rollout. You're in this 2025 release being released in January at
Mhm.
the London Film Festival.
Mhm.
Um, what else can you share with us about? Does it have a name that you can share?
Yes, it's actually called Angels May Cry, and yep, it was just a beautiful experience. You know, I made true like real true friends that, you know, sometimes you go into a set and then you're like, all right, cool, and everyone becomes an acquaintance. But right, I got very lucky because, you know, the director, he actually saw me at Queen of the Roomba, which was a play that I did also last year. And so now I'm gonna, you know, we got to work together, and he was actually the nephew of the director, Corky Dominguez, of the play. And so it was just really cool how I got to work with Corky and Quinn, you know, two generations of directors, one of theater, one film. And but this one is just, I don't know, very special to me. And it's all about love and what happens when people fall out of love, and you know, it's very full of love.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, so that's coming out in
Yes.
2025. Um, you mentioned something that I wanted to ask you about, which I think is amazing and it's a big deal. Um, when you're singing, um, there's something about being able to do studio magic. When you're acting, they're gonna take the best clip, then they're gonna go back and they're gonna kind of do the lighting and do stuff.
Yes.
Theater's different, right? Theater,
Yeah, it's very
theater
different.
theater is different. You have to act differently. You have to perform differently. If
Mm-hmm.
there's a mistake, you got to go with it. If somebody
Yes.
else makes a mistake, you got to adapt, right?
Yes.
You were
Mm-hmm.
just in, something that I wish I had seen, right? Queen of the Rumba. Can you talk to us about this play that you were in, where you performed and who it was about?
Oh my goodness. So Josefina Lopez was the writer, and she's such a icon. She has a theater in her hometown of Boyle Heights, and it's, for mostly the community. A lot of the actors from the community are the ones who go to this theater and, do their art, and, everyone. I love that theater with all my heart. And so she made this play, and I was very lucky to be cast as Perla. And so she made this about a beautiful queen that used to dance, but was kind of inspired by the people that would help her in her house. And so she would see them perform, and this was like rumba, which is crazy because from rumba came cumbia and came merengue and salsa. It was like the starting point.
Mhm.
And so she would see um, her servants who were Black people, and they would dance in these beautiful sensual ways. And that wasn't, seen back then in Cuba. And so she saw, and, she got inspired and gave it her own twist, went to France, made it huge in France. And then, but like, she very much so struggled with love, and it talks about, if you want art, you're going to have to like go full with your art and not really have time to focus on love. And or it's like either you choose one. And she sadly had to choose. Well, actually, she chose her family and what her family thought was best, because they were like, stop with the dancing and go settle down. And her lover was an African, Colombian, Cuban male, and so her father didn't accept that, and he was like, oh, just come back home. And she had to come back home, and she had to like leave her dreams, leave her love, and yeah. And so I was
Was it
able to perform
based on a
that
true story?
live. Yes, yes, it was. And it
Wow.
was just a very like, it was a beautiful play to do. And Josefina's writing is beautiful, and it's beautiful how she celebrates women who brought the different types of dancing onto the stage. And so yeah, and I got to perform and sing, and not sing but dance very much so, with an amazing
Yeah, I
cast.
saw the clips and you're dancing throughout, you're performing a lot. Now they had the character, they had like different versions and you were like the young version,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you
Yes.
played her in her
Mm-hmm.
youth.
I played Alicia Parla in her youth, and Paloma Morales performed her when she was, in her later years, and she was in her deathbed with cancer, and so she was remembering, the times and all the stuff that she did and got into with her mom. Yeah.
So
So
what a perfect role for you because you've worked with your mom. You have
yes,
outgoing personality. That
yes.
so she would flash back to her youth and it was you.
Yes, yes. And it really was beautiful because I got to, sit down and perform with someone that did remind me of my mom, and all the little things that moms get, into. Like the mom would cover all the things that Alicia would do. And when she went to like see the prince, like she wouldn't tell the dad, "Oh my gosh, she's going to see the prince." She would be like, "Oh no, she's just sleeping." So, and it's funny because my mom, she like, pushes me to do everything. And now I'm like old enough to not have to hide anything from my dad, but I know she would cover me if she had to.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a beautiful experience.
We're talking about a theater production that you are part of called
Hmm.
Queen of the Rumba. We've been talking about your career. We started talking about music and all the singles you've released, and that kind of segued into a new um, movie that you're going to be in that's going to be premiering at a film festival in London this January.
Hmm.
But that kind of then fed into us talking about a play that you were a part of, Queen of the Rumba, where you danced and you had acting roles. You have a passion for performing and music and acting. Can you talk to us about any new music or upcoming performances that you have?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, my next one is actually going to be part of the short film. And so since it's going to be releasing in January, January 24th is the film festival, I just decided to release the song as well. And so it's still in in the behind the scenes of it, but I do intend to like release it pretty soon. But this one is going to be a little bit um more alternative, more not tropical at all actually. It's going to be more like new wavy and very kind of like 80s now. So that one's what I'm planning next. And then I am very excited. I've actually been working with some colleagues from East Los Angeles College, and I've actually written my first short film, and right now it's in post production, and I got to direct it as well, and I got my friend Chris Magallanes to be the protagonist, and I'm right next to him acting. We're doing a lot of roles in that one. It's really fun, and then my DP, he and Juan, and they're just wonderful people, and it was beautiful to work with people that I went to school with and at ELAC, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience, which I actually haven't told anyone about as well, but it's going
That's
to be
so amazing.
yes, and that one, that's what I've been working on, and right now, we're in post production for it too, and also if you guys would like to do something for New Year's, I'm going to be hosting the Chapino end of the year special bash, and I'm going to be the host, and there's going to be a lot of beautiful bands that are going to be performing. So, and that's a little bit of what's coming up, but new music and new films.
There's so much there. I want to make sure we unpack it. So today is December 28th. What an amazing day to have Angel Peaches on the show. And you're telling us about an upcoming performance that's like an end of the year. So it's like a New Year's Eve,
Yes.
the New Year's Eve
And
bash.
mhm.
So where's it going to be at?
It's going to be at the Fonda Theater in Hollywood. If you guys would like to come out, I'm going to actually to be posting something about it right after this. And then, yeah, if you guys would like to come, it's going to be like a countdown and everything. And it's going to be mostly merengue groups. So I'll probably be singing a lot of like, Dime lo que sientes and, Magia, the more tropical ones, and then there's also going to be like other bands like FM Zacapa, which are huge in Guatemala. So, yeah, if you guys would like to come through.
Yes. So tell us, it's like, are there going to be like a lot of different bands?
Mhm.
Are you performing? Are you performing with Sonora Explosiva? Give us all of the. How can people get tickets? Right, all of it.
Yes, of course. I'm actually going. I believe it's on. It's on a website. I'm gonna give you guys the link right after, and I'm gonna put it in the link in my bio. But yeah, it's going to be FM Zacapa and a couple other bands. I'm actually not going to be performing with Sonora Explosiva because she actually has to go perform with her own band in another gig, and I'm gonna have to be there for a little bit. For the countdown, and since I believe since like 10 to 2, we're going to be there, but there's going to be a lot of other performances. And I think I am going to be able to sing with my mom. I'm definitely going to sing on my own, but yeah, she's going to sing with me later on.
Wow. So you're at that point now where Angel Peach's music and
Mhm.
kind of is a thing that's happening kind of concurrently to Sonora Explosiva,
Yes.
where you're having to crisscross LA to
Yeah.
like go for, do this gig and then maybe even that gig and
Yeah.
be super busy. But that's good. You
That's
want to,
such
you
a
want to be double
blessing.
booked,
Oh,
triple
yes.
book me.
Yeah, that's the biggest blessing in the world. The fact that my mom gets to still sing and do her thing, and then I get to join her when possible. It's like the biggest blessing to me. And yeah.
That's awesome. Um, So in LA, I'm new to LA, right?
Mhm.
So I've been in LA for about 2 years now,
Mhm.
and I'm half Guatemalan and half Chilean.
Uh-huh.
Um, in LA, there's a big community of Chapines, and
Right.
I've been kind of seeing stuff like you start winding up in different places, and
Mhm.
you're like, oh, this is like the Guatemalan area, or like there's like lots of
Yes.
restaurants. What
Yep.
areas are like the Guatemalan areas?
I grew up in I believe it was near Little Armenia in the west side of Los Angeles, but it's more like Hollywood, kind of like Central East Hollywood, I think
Yeah,
it is.
East Hollywood.
Um, so I think East Hollywood, I would say, is the Guatemalan area. And there's this like street that I grew up in, which now is like it's completely renovated, but it was called Mariposa Street,
Yeah.
and that's where I grew up and so it's right in East Hollywood, right off. I forgot. I think Melrose Freeway. I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah, Normandy, I think it is, right off that street. If you keep going down, and I went to Ramona Elementary, and when I was, very very small, and so I grew up there, and there's like this bakery called La Guatemalteca,
Yeah.
and that one's very good.
I've
Yep.
seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Nice.
you'll see like businesses that have like the Quetzal,
Yes.
right? Or and I'm like, when you see enough of those together, I'm like, I need to
Yeah.
go into the bakery and kind of like get the real deal.
Exactly. And if it's funny because sometimes I'm not sure if they're there still, but the ceñitos that sell the tamales outside, they're even more bomb. And if you try that atol de lote, I'm sure you know atol de lote.
Yeah,
Ay, qué
yeah.
rico. And then they have like los chiles rellenos, and you could put like a bolillo, or over there in Guatemala they call them pirujos, which is so funny
For
because
the bolillos pirujos?
yeah, so in Mexico it's bolillo, in Guatemala it's pirujo, but in Mexico pirujo or pirujas is something completely different.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, 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 yeah. I get
so
that for the pirujos.
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, either way, like also if you guys go into Guatemalteca, try the revolcado. Very good, very yummy.
Okay, we're gonna look those up.
Mm-hmm.
You shared with us something I think that's really important. That I want to make sure that we give enough attention to and that we unpack it. Um, for a long time, you've been in commercials, in short films, in movies. We could go watch Fangs Out on Amazon. You've been doing a lot of work in establishing yourself as an actress, as a person who does video work and commercial work. You grew up on stage doing music. You grew up performing in front of large
Mm-hmm.
audiences. A lot of people, it takes them a long time to get to that level musically. You were kind of given that by like birthright, but in film, you've had to earn it and achieve
Mm-hmm.
it and fight for it. And you have, you know, musical talents and performing talents, but you've had to kind of earn it for film. And now here you are, working on your first, where you work as a director.
Yes.
Also, how was that different? The writing, the directing of other artists. Can you share with us what that was like?
Oh, of course. It was honestly one of the most beautiful things. I was so scared at first because I asked my DP Hien to direct it. And then he was like, "No, I'm from Vietnam. Like, how am I going to direct something that is written and it has like Mexican things in it,
Yeah,
And he's like, "No, you do it." And I'm so glad he told me to do it because it like pushed me into something like new territory that I have no idea what the heck, was going to happen. And thankfully also my producer, Chris Magallanes, he was like, "It's okay. Like, we're going to like, kind of help you, but like, just go for it. We're going to be there." And thankfully I was able to ask questions, but mostly like it just gave me, you know it made me realize how much I love directing, because it really is like, if you're an actor you can direct, because if you can lead a story and bring a story, you could lead your own thoughts, so if you can write and if you can act, you can definitely direct. But it's definitely hard, and I have like a whole new appreciation for the
yeah,
directors that I've worked with, because it's not only about, oh, do this, do that. You have to have a vision, and you have to like be able to, talk to your character, to your actors, like you said, like yeah, my friend Quinn said. And so yeah, it was beautiful because I got to, first of all, like, just tell my friends, oh, I would like it here, and see if they can match my vision, and they did, and it was like so cool. It was beautiful, but it was definitely hard, and I was able to write it and take it to like my friends, and then we just did it, and it was something that I'm incredibly grateful for Gizzy and Crystal and Caesar, and because it was a very, and Trip, my beautiful Trip, if you're seeing this, he did the audio, and it was just like a very beautiful like friendship group, We just brought something to life and it was wonderful. And we really did put in all of our hearts into it, and it has a little bit of everything. And hopefully next year we'll able to like do a little premiere for it or something. And I'm definitely gonna send it out into the world with a lot of love.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about that. What are your thoughts on releasing it? Because not only have you like been involved in things, you've been to premieres, you've been involved in other people's projects when they roll things out. What are your thoughts on this? Do you plan on like having a premiere somewhere? Does ELAC do some sort of like a thing for those types of I'm just really
Yes.
curious because I think that I'm sure that whatever you've worked on is good.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, it would be beautiful to release it at ELAC, or, if I, hopefully put it out into like some festival as well. I know there's a lot of beautiful festivals of East Los Angeles or just Los Angeles. It's just, about doing it right, and, putting all the work that you can into it and just like letting it go. And so, right now it's still in post production, so I can't really say when or how we're going to premiere it, but I definitely want there to be a premiere, and you're gonna definitely be on,
Absolutely.
there
Ab-
hopefully, and I'm going to, leave it out to the public for whoever wants to come see it. It's very fun, and the actors that were in it were very wonderful as well. So yeah, I can't wait for that for sure.
that's
It's
awesome.
called Vida Virota.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yes, that's what I wanted to know. Say it again.
Vida Virota. You'll know why.
Okay, okay.
It doesn't really mean anything as of right now, but it will when you
Got
see
it.
it.
Okay, okay, that sounds good. So I won't try to spoil it by figuring it out. I have to watch it. That way I can
Um,
get the whole.
yep.
You know, we've spent some time talking about your acting, this new short film that you've directed. We also talked about uh, a, a new release that's going to be happening at the London Short Film
Yes.
Festival for a new project that you're involved in. We talked about the multiple singles that you've released in 2024, but also new music that you've got coming in 2025. The first release is going to be timed with this short film that's going to be released in London. Um, we talked about New Year's and a performance that you're going to be posting that people can come count down New Year's with you in Hollywood. And then you'll probably crisscross and go perform with your mom across town. Um, I wanted to ask what other things you wanted to share with us. We've talked about your music and your acting and your performing. You're a complete artist in the way that I think a lot of old school artists used to be. They could sing, they
Oh,
could
thank
dance,
you.
they could act, they could perform. Um, are there other things that maybe people would be interested in that are part of who you are creatively, design wise, clothing wise, other aspects of Angel Peaches that would be nice to share.
Well, um, you know, I think I'm very involved with my art and my music and writing. So right now I've actually been more involved with acting. For a while I released Karma Police, and it was kind of like I wanted to release it because it was in October, and I was like, this is who I am really, because it's like I love different types of music, darks and cumbia, like I said. So that one was a little bit closer. It's kind of like I'm going in this journey when I'm kind of trying to make something that is more true to myself. Even though cumbia is exactly who I am, but
Yeah.
there I want to explore other parts of it, and so I focus a little on acting, a lot of acting, and but right now I think I'm going into like music that is, like I said, a little bit more, way different from what I've released ever. I think I've never released something like what I'm going to be releasing next. So I think it's yeah, just I don't really know how if it's going to change anything, but it definitely is going to have a different vibe. And so it's just I'm going through like this journey of like, just trying to be more
Yeah.
real.
Well,
Yeah.
you as a performer, right? Cumbia and merengue. Like if people don't know the song, it's okay because they could dance,
Yeah.
right? and you're always trying to like you're trying to perform to keep the crowd engaged and to keep them having a good time.
Mhm.
But that's very different from sitting down at home, listening to beats or listening to music pieces, trying to find what's going to be your next song.
Yeah.
And the cutting edge of music, the artists
Mhm.
that you like, like the new sounds,
Yeah.
the new sounds coming out of Latin America. That's the other thing too,
Oh yeah.
is that in LA you've got that fusion
Mhm.
of influence coming from the Caribbean and other parts of America, the United
Mhm.
States, and of Mexico, and all the immigrants coming from Guatemala and El
Mhm.
Salvador and Nicaragua and Honduras, and bringing that flavor
Yep.
creates this melting pot in LA where there's this cutting
Yeah.
edge, right,
Yeah.
of sound.
Mhm.
And Latin America has such cool sound.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
right
It's
now in
beautiful.
music in general, Latinos are hot. It's like this,
Yeah.
it's cyclical. It's like we're back
We're,
in. We're in,
we're
it's
so
like we're
back.
we're back. And all of that fusing with you kind of like at like the height of your career saying like, hey, you know, cumbia's amazing, merengue is amazing. I love to sing and perform, but I want to do some of these new sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think music right now is in like a super, oh my goodness, I don't think we've ever been like this in the music industry. And that's why I feel like for music for me is something that it's just makes me super happy and just something that I could just escape to do and sitting down writing. It's very beautiful. It's a very fun experience and I could go and do something. I love reggaeton. I love, all the types of music that are going on. Every type of music has something so beautiful, but I really want to find something that is very me because then that's how like you can bring the you to the table, like you don't want to just do something and just, oh, fight it and then it's not who you are,
Right.
I feel like you bring your spark
Or
when it's
something that's a
completely you.
trend.
Yeah,
You don't want to do it
exactly.
just because it's hot.
Exactly. And so I feel like right now, even though it's hard, it's also this beautiful thing where like you can do anything you want. There are no rules. It's kind of like, oh my, just go and do whatever you want. And there are going to be people that are going to find it and love it, and it's going to be their niche and they're going to, enjoy it just as much as you enjoy it. But if you do something just because it might, get you to the top or the top 20 or something, um, maybe that is not you, I don't know, it's not going to be as real and beautiful, like, right? It's so funny because and on my side of like, I don't know, TikTok or whatever, there's this even before there's this song that I love called Golden Brown by the Stranglers, and I've loved it forever, and it got big on TikTok. And it's so funny because I see all these people loving it and it's like, yeah, that's my people. And like we love like this like different or just sound that brings us back to like the Renaissance. In the 70s, there was this like this Renaissance like revival. And so it's beautiful how there are people that love this weird niche. And I know that there's like, if I make something that is, genuine to me, there are going to be people that are going to genuinely love it like that. And so I'm trying to like go for something next up that is a little bit, nothing that is super like reggaeton or danceable or something. Even though you can dance to it, it's going to be more like synthy. I'll just leave it at that.
You're finding your sound.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was just having fun with it and seeing where it goes, and then I'll definitely be back to
Yeah.
tropical, like I said, around like the spring and the summertime because I always go back to that. It's also who I am for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that part's always interesting, right? Where it's like you're trying to feed the fans that exist, but also kind of like find yourself
Yeah.
and your sound, and there's something really cool about maybe two things. One is artists that embody a sound.
Hmm.
So you associate that thing that you love with these two or three artists that kind of took over that
Hmm.
subgenre. That's really beautiful. And then there's also the thing of releasing an album or a series of albums during a window of time that
Hmm.
kind of capture you in a period where
Hmm.
you had that sound and you were doing
Yeah.
so whatever that whichever of those that is, I think that it's beautiful for you to find your sound and to pursue it right now. um you've been around bands and Latin music. You know, you've got drummers and congas and
Mhm.
horns and keyboards and, you know, all sorts of live instrumentation. But also like in cumbia and reggaeton, the era of the producer has stepped
Mhm.
in where like, you know, one person or a person working with other people that he's directing in a studio,
Mhm.
or he or she's directing, you know, creates all the sounds, just a
Yeah.
producer.
Mhm.
You've been around both. What does that do for you, like, you know, in regards to live performance or when you're, you know, working on music? Are you kind of using things like beat stars or, you know, are you getting beats, you know, the way that are, or is it mostly working with composers and kind of finding that live sound? How does Angel Peaches work?
Well, I love it when producers send me a song like that they've worked or something like a draft, and then like I go and add my sound that comes to me, and then we work together as a collaboration. That's my favorite. I have done a song where I did like my own melody, and then a producer stepped in, and then he made his sound whatever came to him, and that was also beautiful. And that one I hope is the song that I can release also like next summer. And but yeah, I think that's my favorite where people send you their stuff and then you get to just add on top. I wish that I could play the piano, or play the guitar, because then I would be able to do my own productions. But I appreciate and I love working with producers because I think it also takes up off a load, because I feel like I would get in my head way too much. But yeah, right now it's funny. Shout out to my beautiful Chelsea and Dylan, and Chelsea, my little sister. She is a prodigy,
Really?
and I don't even know how, but she learned how to play the piano by herself. And I'm not talking about Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, because little kids are like, okay, cool, I could. She learned how to play the piano with two hands, and I'm talking about bass and also normal piano. And I'm so proud of her, and I know that in a couple of years she's gonna be helping me out, and vice versa. She's a beautiful baby, and she sings beautifully, and hopefully in the future I get to write her a song, and she gets to perform it. And it's going to be like the most beautiful thing. I just my mama and I, we are, my parents, we just never are the family to just push people, even though like my other little brother Mikey, shout out Mikey, like there's a video out there where he was very small, like 8 years old, and I had him singing a Grenade, Bruno Mars song, which I was also little too. So I would push him, but other than that, we just don't push people, But Chelsea, she's a star, and at the right time, she's gonna blow up.
It's in
Because
the
yeah.
blood.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, like you said, what's another aspect? I think I'm just honestly like I love partying, and I love being, going out with my friends, but I swear, and I'm not even trying to be anything, I love just staying in, watching movies with my little siblings, and watching them grow because they're so little, and yeah, I just love them so much. They're my inspiration for everything. And so yeah, I just love spending time with them, and they also inspire me to do stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think that anybody who follows you online can see that you have such like a love for your family,
Yes,
and
yes.
that's a big part of your life, and that you come from um a family of musicians,
Hmm.
and that you actually doing music and performing and writing songs and being an actress and being in theater, and you grew up around all of this,
Hmm.
and you continue it. You know, so
Yeah.
it's really beautiful, and it's beautiful
Thank
that you're supportive
you.
of the next generation. They keep you young too. Kids
Yes.
bring the new sounds, they bring the new
Yeah.
artists, you know. So all those things. We
Yeah.
talked about, you know, the New Year's Eve performance that you have
Hmm.
coming on. We talked about January 2025 is going to be a good month for you because you've got a short film release. You're releasing a song to go with the short film. We talked about um, the New Year's release. Any other, you know, performances or anything else that you want to share with people as we start to wrap up?
Oh, as right now, you know, like I said, the Fonda Theater is going to be really fun on New Year's, and after that, I just have a couple performances that are in the works, like around February when I come back, and it's gonna be, you know, I definitely want to perform with like the new music with a band. So I'm looking also for musicians if you guys are out there, you know, looking for people that want to do cumbia and you know like alternative music and a fusion. So it's gonna be super fun to play those songs with a full band. So hopefully in the new year around February and March. But right now, yeah, just trying to you know release this next song and get everything ready and finish all these other post production short film things that we're working on. But super super grateful.
That's awesome. I think that's a good thing to put out there for people.
Mm-hmm.
You're an incredibly talented performer.
Thank you.
You're performing often. You're performing New Year's. You've been performing for years. You're also an actress. You're a songwriter. You've got your own music career, but you also perform with not only your family but other groups. You're bilingual. You perform in English and Spanish. Perfect English, perfect Spanish. If a producer wants to send you music, if somebody wants to hire you to perform in LA or close by, you know, uh, what is the right way for people to contact you to hire you?
Well, you could email me. You could also email my manager. It's so funny to say that. It's a, it's embarrassing. But I do have a manager. His name is Val Valdez. So I'll also put the email link in my bio. That's where you could find it. But yeah, if you also want to DM me, I'm always there. You know, very close to if you like to say hi or you know want to ask about like either La Sonora Explosiva or myself. Yeah, basically.
That's beautiful. I think you're gonna have an amazing 2025. It's so nice to like talk with you and catch up. Um, you know, when I first started the Cristopolis show, I think I had you on kind of early, like episode, I think it was like 40 something, something like that. Here we are, like over 100 episodes later, and your career is just growing at such a speed. I'm super excited to not only see you around LA and continue like building with you, but to watch you take it, you know, from you know premiere in England to a premiere right here in Hollywood at the Chinese Theater, you know, and that's where this is all going, and we'll just see how long it takes, but it's all moving in
Oh,
that
thank
direction,
you.
you
Thank you
know.
so much.
So
No, yeah,
it's great to watch it.
I appreciate you so much, Cristopolis. You are a beautiful human being, and it's always beautiful to talk with you. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to express everything that I haven't said. You know, because it's, you know, I always like to finish the things before, you know, I post about them, but, and I get a little bit in my head about that, but it's always beautiful to be able to, you know, have a platform to say all these things. And I want to, yeah, like I said, thank you. And hopefully I get to run into you again and that we share un heladito en la Michoacana.
There you go. I love that. It's an honor to have you on. I wish you the most amazing 2025. I can't wait to see where you're at when I, you know, when I have you on here again. But I hope to see you before that.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
Yeah.
De un chapín a otro.
Yeah.
Mucho, mucho cariño para ti. Thank you, Cristopolis. Yeah, it was beautiful to talk to you. And yeah, hope if you do make it to the Fonda, I'll definitely be there and we can dance.
There you go. There you go. Angel Peaches is always an honor. And I'll see you soon.
Igualmente. Bye, un
Besitos.
besito. Bye.